Welcome to the Kandis Show. Today I had the pleasure of sitting down with a former coach of mine, Tony Vicich. He teaches stand-up comedy here in the Valley and has taught for 17 years. I took his stand-up, and the main message I wanted to convey to you guys is that the stand-up class that I took was so much more than just stand-up. It's been very impactful in who I have become today, and I hope you guys are inspired. Tony Vicich.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I agree with your statement.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Oh, even if you're not amazing, even if I'm not amazing, I always respond with I'm amazing.
I've never thought of myself as amazing. I've never got up and went, I'm amazing. I get up and go, okay.
Maybe you've got to do affirmations. That's the thing.
That's an affirmation. Okay. That's an affirmation for me. I have that taped up on my mirror every morning. That's what I say. Okay.
But you are what you think. So then you just say it. I'm amazing. Say it.
No,
Let's practice.
I'm afraid.
No, you're not.
I'm amazing.
Look at that. See? That was with conviction.
I felt was uncomfortable with that. It made me very uncomfortable. I don't feel I'm in a safe space now. I'm being forced.
Okay, well, let me try your version. Ask me how I am.
How you doing?
Yeah.
There, see? That's, you know what?
do?
That's good. You did so good.
Oh, thank you.
You did so good.
Oh, my gosh.
This is amazing.
Well,
See, you can say I'm amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I can say that I'm amazing.
But we should change that. You can be whoever you want.
No.
That is the whole point. That's the whole point of where I wanted this to go.
I tried that, and I got arrested.
Tell us about that.
It ain't your ID, buddy. I didn't. It's not. It never actually. It happened, but it's a long time ago.
Yeah, too long ago to relive.
I've lived long enough to have, no, not long time ago, but long time ago.
Tony, I want to talk about the first time I met you.
The first time ever I saw your face. You're amazing. No, go ahead.
Do you remember where it was?
I'm married now, and quite happily. I'm
not.
There's a couple things I could think of. Okay, it was either a free intro of my workshops or at your hair salon, or
no.
Okay.
I met you before the hair salon.
Okay, then I don't know.
All right. Well, we were at I don't know. I thought I was going to be this actress, Tony.
Ah,
And then I showed up at this thing.
downtown.
I don't know where it was.
Yeah, it was like an Actors Expo thing.
Yes.
Yes.
I was like, someone's going to discover me at this expo.
Yeah.
And I ended up in your little intro.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there, and you're about to start, and someone's phone rings. And I thought to myself, like, what a jerk.
Yeah. It was a long time ago. You had to have like a corded phone on your wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they brought it in. It was like a dial phone.
But it was your phone that rang.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, this guy. So anyways.
How about that? Was the free intro, I was holding it at the at my little theater I used to have in Scottsdale?
Well, I signed up after that little.
The expo, the Actors Expo.
Yeah.
They used to do these really cool things. I don't know if they still do downtown, because there's there was, and I'm assuming there still is, a really vibrant, creative acting community. And in those days, it was a small but much more collegial group of people who taught workshops and put on shows and plays in town. And there was a woman named Elaine Stein, who's no longer with us. Really wonderful woman, kind of like a grande dame of theater here in Los Angeles. And her and Gay Gilbert, who was a casting director, put together for a number of years these things where people who taught workshops or had theater groups and people who were interested in that sort of thing could meet everybody all at once.
Yes, so that was what that was.
That's where it was.
So then I saw, I wanted to be a dramatic actress. So I guess not all my audience knows that.
Well, if you want to be a dramatic actor, you say, that's amazing. Like that. You got to say it like that.
That's amazing.
Say that. Yeah, you know what? That's pretty good.
See, I could.
That's pretty good. You did stand-up comedy avocationally for quite some time, and you were very funny.
Yeah, almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years, yeah. You were funny. We had fun. And in those days, we had fun.
We did.
This was back before sound. We did silent comedy. Black and white silent comedy. In those days, we had fun.
What are you saying? I'm old?
No, not you. You were a
Dang,
you were a
Tony.
zygote. You were a
Zygote.
Yeah, we witnessed your
Growth. Let's just call it
growth.
blossom.
Yeah, I had a growth during that time too, but I had it removed. It turned out I needed it.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else with the growth.
Wow, that's a growth. And then I had it removed, and I go, oh, hell, I needed that. Not so much now when I'm older, I don't need it, but I needed it then.
Is that what happens when you get old? Then you don't need it?
Yeah, kind of. I was leaving the house last night, and I've put on a little weight since you met me.
Yeah.
And so, but my wife still thinks I'm attractive, and that's the beauty of like...
All that matters.
Yeah, and we're leaving, and she goes, I don't know if I should let you leave the house. You look that good in those pants. I go, knowing how hard it was for me to get them on, you should not worry about anybody getting them off. Yeah. And it's not gonna be any big.
Because then you would have to like be streaking after you left. There's no way you could get them back on.
No. I'd have to bring
it
like
would be disastrous.
I'd have to like a kilt.
Yeah.
Check into a motel wearing pants. Check out wearing a kilt.
Anyway, I just want to thank you kind of for just being so instrumental influential in my life. Like I didn't realize at the time like doing stand-up comedy would have such an impact on me moving forward. Because it was just kind of for fun for me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of thought like, oh, we'll see where this takes me. And then I was like, oh, this is way too much work to like be famous, you know?
Being famous is either it happens like that or it's a massive amount of work.
Yeah.
Either of those scenarios, once you get there, then it's a whole different level of work. But I thanks for saying that. I think if you're gonna teach a workshop, someone told me something when I first decided to do this on a temporary basis. I was doing it for like a year, and but somebody who was that I listened to said to me, he said, "Be careful what you tell people, because they'll believe you." So if people pay money to go sit in a room and listen to you talk and tell them how to do anything, whether it's carpentry or comedy, generally if they're paying you money, they go, all right, this person has answers. So
and we trusted you.
Yeah. So if you're going to make up answers or if you're going to lie, then you're doing a terrible disservice.
So you were only going to do it for a short time. I never knew.
Yeah, I didn't know. Well, I didn't know how long I'd been really active in the stand-up business for about 14 or 15 years.
In LA?
In LA and all over the country. So I'd been a touring stand-up comic from sometime early in 86 to about 99 or 2000. I owned a comedy club in Oklahoma City.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
I forgot about that.
I booked the club for about 2 years before I bought into it. So that was all through the early to late 90s. Attempted to produce some TV shows, did some things for TNN. I did a bunch of stuff, and then I go, I wanted to be home with my daughter.
Ah.
I said, I moved to LA to be in LA. Why am I running all over the country? So I started a stand-up comedy workshop in Southern California, and I thought, well, she's in junior high and high school, then I can be home more than if I'm as a touring stand-up comic, you're gone so much. So I thought I can be home till she's out of high school, and then we'll see where it goes from there. And so I was going to do a part-time. I got invited out here to Arizona. It blew up. It was really successful and really fun and really cool. Still is. But then it was new and exciting, and nothing like that, nothing like it in the city. And 1 year turned into 2 years, have now turned into 17 years.
Already?
17 years last June.
Well, I think because we've known each other, I was thinking about this. We've known each other for, I was like 27. So
yeah.
That's like 13.
So 2 years.
2 years.
See, that's what I did. I might be married, but I'm not stupid. So you're 95 now? You don't do that. That's terrible.
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe more than two. But yeah. So we've
known each other in 2005 or something like that. 2005, 2006. That's around the time that I was. They were doing those types of things. Were you around? You were around for the big conventions that we did, the Great Southwest Comedy and Actor Convention that we did down at the Scottsdale Plaza Resort.
That's right.
That's right.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, we did that. You know, it's funny when you've been doing it when you've been doing something for a long time in a city. People will forget, and then somebody was doing a comedy festival, and they go, "There's never been anything like it." And I went,
Pretty sure there was.
Yeah. You know what was cool about those? We did these things called the Great Southwest Comedy and Acting Convention, so that we could get comedians and actors signed up. First year, people from all over the country came. Same thing with the second year. It was like a 3-day fun fest, all with workshops and seminars and contests. Here's the cool thing: Bobby Lee, the stand-up comedian Bobby Lee, agreed to come in and do a seminar, and I was choosing comedy students to interview them. And the guy who interviewed Bobby Lee was Josh McDermott.
Yeah.
Who's now
Gone
Eugene on The Walking Dead. Yeah.
Yeah. We can say we knew him.
Yeah. I don't really want to say that. It's not, he's on a cable show, and he's not really the main guy. People tune in for the zombies, That's, look, the zombie ate a guy's head. I mean, you take the zombies out and it's just a bunch of crybabies running from town to town.
Well.
No, it's one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever to be created.
No, he was fun to work with.
He was fun to work with. He's a very fun guy, very talented guy.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't know, there's no reason for them to know, but for years he was the producer of a very successful morning radio show here in Phoenix. It was the Tim and Willie show. He was the producer.
That's right.
And here's how he got the job. He was a kid. He was late teens. And he's from West Phoenix. He doesn't come from money. He doesn't come from,
influence.
We're going to send him to the Harvard School of Comedy. Nothing. So he was calling him prank calling. And they liked his prank call so much. One day, Tim Hattrick, who's a really wonderful guy, who's still on the air with Ben and Tim now.
Okay.
Ben Campbell. Tim said, keep him on. The producer said, if that kid calls, tell him we're going to put him on, but tell him to stay on the line when we're finished. And they said, why don't you come in and kind of go for a round, which he did, and then eventually became the producer of their show.
That's a fun story. I didn't realize all that.
And you're talking about in radio, he was getting up for years at 3:00 in the morning. And then he would come to the workshop,
yeah.
And he'd be at the 5:00 workshop and the 7:00 workshop and do all the shows. The man didn't sleep. That's why he's on a zombie show. I thought when he said he was going to be on Walking Dead, I go, it's one of the zombies, obviously. But
yeah. And then we went to Frasier's after every night.
Frasier's, which is no longer there.
Oh, I know it moved. I'm really sad.
Moved. He moved. Yeah, no longer.
It's not the same.
You know why I liked Frasier so much?
It's because it's dark.
It's dark.
And it was like gloomy and dungeony and.
Yes.
And then you could make out with people and you didn't even know who you're making out with. Or was that me?
It was. Yes. George Frasier is from St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, that's right. That's where you're from.
He's from an area called South St. Louis near something called Bevo Mill, which is a giant windmill that Anheuser-Busch built to be a place for private parties at the beginning of the 20th century. So it's the Bevo Mill neighborhood. So he fixed a lot of the meals and the pizzas and things that he made were all St. Louis style.
Yeah, the cheese, right? Something about the cheese.
Cheese, ravioli, toasted ravioli is a big St. Louis thing. There's a place called Emo's. It's only a St. Louis franchise type of pizza. Emo's type pizzas. The way that he did his steaks, it was just like being to home. I'd go in there and I'd eat, and I go, I feel like I've come to home, like that. And then that's why nobody would make out with me in the dark, because I talked like that. I feel like I've come to home. And I go, can we have him removed?
Yeah, you just can't talk.
No, I ain't had none book learning. That's why.
Oh, those were the days.
Yeah.
We did have fun. Oh.
We had a good time. We had a blast.
It was a good group.
It was a good group. It was, and most of them, when you do this, it's kind of an odd thing because you'll be involved with people, at some level pretty regularly for a number of years, and then they move on.
Yeah.
And some people you stay in touch with, you and I, a few other people, and some people you lose total track of. But during that time, it was a little company of players.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah, we had we did the sketch comedy. We had the troupe.
The sketch comedy, that was
fun.
On rare occasions, I'll still run into somebody who remembers They go, those shows were fantastic. They go, nobody was there because we had such a hard time getting an audience.
We did?
For those sketch shows?
I was so into it. I guess I didn't even realize there was no audience.
Oh, I realized every month when the rent was due.
Are you sure? We had people there.
Yeah, but never
Enough.
So yeah, it's one of the weird economics of the business, you know. So it's like the nightclub business. It's the reason so many people go broke in the nightclub business is because they'll go into a nightclub, they'll see a bunch of people, they'll think they must be making money hand over fist, and the owner would go, "Would you like to invest?" Because they're not, for 100 other factors, making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
And then people get involved and they lose their money. But those were like really creative, fun, exciting sketches.
Well, it was fun to like work, if there was talent that worked well together, I felt like.
Yeah.
Like, certain people, and it was fun to watch you like pair us up and, just make it all happen. And the creative part of it, the costumes, the characters.
You know what was cool about it was, there was a lot of, all that was cool about it. And you guys were all very, very good. There was actually flashes of like, brilliance and on your parts. I'm so enamored of Larry David, who created Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. So the idea of being able to write, because you had enough people, you had to have 5 or 6 sketches every month, and a lot of people at a new amateur level because it was a class. The attempt to write a sketch and have people memorize those lines and do that became darn near impossible. You could develop it. So I decided to turn more like an acting class where we would actually develop the sketches on stage. On stage where somebody would blurt out a line and go, okay, we're keeping that line. Yeah. And that's what, organically it got built because of you guys on stage. You going, you're this and I'm that. I'm working at the post office and you can't figure out if you want to rob me or get stamps. Right. And then what is the conversation? Yeah. And then in the rehearsal, that conversation would take place. Does that mess with the camera when I do that a lot with my hand? The conversation. It's fun. Doing it's fun.
Feels good.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Loosen up a little bit. So there, felt like get a little tension out.
Yeah.
That's where the scripts would come from, and that's why they were so good because they were so organic.
You don't really see sketch comedy a lot of places either. It's kind of.
It's hard to do.
Well, it felt easier to me than stand-up.
Yeah.
But maybe not from a.
It's hard to do it at a real local level and make it good. Look, we did it for a couple years. So, it was viable for a long time, but then it just didn't. I think I moved on doing something else for a period of time. I know, because I went from that theater to an advertising agency in North Scottsdale.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It is no longer there, but the guy who ran it, I think, still is in the business, but his big advertising agency downsized. So I had a workshop over in the air park in North Scottsdale where we actually, the window when you went into the hallway of his advertising agency, you look out and you could see the planes and the hangars.
That's fun.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it became too much business-wise to run that. I kept thinking I'll get back to it. But I haven't yet, yeah. But I'm glad we did it.
I know, right? We can say we did it. That's fun.
We did it.
We did it.
Hi, we did it.
Oh.
We did it. I don't know what that is. I'll stop.
What's it like to be in your position and see like amateur people come in, and then you see their talent emerge, and then sometimes then you see them go on, like McDermott and some other people that
a number of other people now
clearly not me.
Well, no, here two things, okay. Eventually, if we do anything long enough, so there's the excitement of doing something, whatever it is, because it starts to work, whether it's be a stand-up comic or an actor or sell real estate or start your own hauling business. And when it clicks at first, it's very exciting. Like you got a hauling business. Let's say you got a lot of business, you got another truck. That's pretty exciting. You start a real estate business, you go into real estate, you sell your first house, your second house. All of a sudden, you got some sizable commission. And if it happens early on, that's the adrenaline rush. Same thing with stand-up or acting. You do it, and people laugh or applaud, or you get paid, and that's the adrenaline rush. Then after a year or two, that adrenaline rush in anything goes away. It just goes away because there's not that first time flush. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. However, that was not my experience.
With stand-up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, sometimes in a class, it's somewhat different. Then in a class, it can be just that determination. I'm going to go, it didn't work. I'm going to go back till it works. You know, I don't know. What was your experience?
Oh, my God. I was so... the adrenaline rush never stopped. Even...
Oh, so it stayed the whole time, is what you're saying.
And then even, what was that, like a year and a half ago, we worked together again, and
Was that a year and a half ago?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
And I did that set for my real estate company.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of fun. But, yeah, I mean, the same feelings I had. You know, you want to throw up. You want to, you know, you're sweating. Just all the things before you go up.
All the good things in life.
Right? And then after the high, after you get off stage, because you got all the laughs and...
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you asked me what it was like for me to see it work for someone. So there's a difference between work and then commercially successful, although a lot of our people have gone on to that. For me, the thing that keeps me coming back, the thing that makes me not dread leaving the house to go do it, like, oh, I got to go in there again.
Yeah.
Is seeing that little click happen for someone, seeing someone go through my beginning workshop and my advanced workshop, and they're struggling, and you can see kind of the fog in their eyes, and you know, the questions they ask are almost a little adversarial. Well, I don't think this, people just talk. I don't know why I have to write jokes. They say these things, and I realize they're fear-based questions.
Yeah.
And then they write that joke that works, and everybody in the workshop laughs. Or all of a sudden my head pops up and I go, wait a minute, what did you just say? So that's watching the light come on. That's going from a room that's dark and click, then there's lights. That's what keeps me coming back doing it. More than, hey, look because I just put a thing on my Facebook, the number of people who, we have a young lady who's now a writer on a Netflix show.
Fun.
A kid, I don't call him a kid anymore, he's a young man now. Michael Longfellow was just on the Conan show and signed with a major agency. Other people have done the Jimmy Kimmel show. We've lost track now of the number of people who have gone on and done something, whether it's
on some level.
There's a young girl named Grace. I'm not going to, but she took our classes in our sketch class. Remember Grace? And she's a regular working actress in Los Angeles. She's been on a series, but she works a lot. So seeing that light come on is what brings me back. And I also know that if you're teaching a stand-up comedy, look, if you're teaching an acting class or stand-up comedy class in Los Angeles, everybody there wants to be a comedian, and they've moved there. They've sold all their stuff. They've hauled across the country.
They're eating ramen noodles.
You know, they're working well below their skill set to survive. And that's why they're there. But when you're teaching a class in Tempe, or I was just up in San Francisco where a friend of mine has a workshop, or any of those cities, not the great majority of people, they might have a Harvard, maybe, I don't know. But a lot of people are not going to go on. First off, a lot of people in Los Angeles and New York aren't going to go on. That doesn't mean if you're thinking about doing it, you shouldn't avail yourself of the opportunity, especially if you're young. Oh, well, what I mean is, if you're in your 20s and you're going, I would like to go to Los Angeles or New York, or I'd like to, whatever it is that you think would be the fun outreach thing, you can do it because you can still pick up your life later on. It's not like it was when my parents were young, and that was it. You got married and
had kids.
Yeah, and then he worked in a factory, and you know.
Well, I think that was the main message that I wanted my audience to really hear is that, I mean, life's too short. If you want to do something, you should do it. You should just take steps forward. Like, I didn't want to be a stand-up comedian. That's the whole point.
You used to tell me that, too.
I know. I don't want to do this.
I don't want to be a stand-up comedian. You were just there to have a good time, I guess.
I don't know why I was there. I still don't know. but that's the point, I guess, is that you just have to do things and the path that leads you, right? It's the path.
Yeah. But you have to take a certain amount of risks. You have to take risks that are how do I put this? Maybe you want to parachute out of a plane. That's a risk, you know.
Yeah, no.
Okay. But you don't ever just want to jump out of a plane and go, maybe I'll be the guy who bounces.
Flies.
Oh, look at that. I bounced. So, you know, there's acceptable risk and unacceptable risk. Doing things like being a stand-up comic or going to Wyoming and working on a ranch for a year or deciding to backpack in Europe or anything like that is valuable. When I was 17, I was just up in San Francisco, and I was staying in North Beach, which was kind of a ground zero for a cultural revolution in America. Before the hippies, there was the beatniks, the beat generation. There's a bookstore that's been there, and these are the people that fought censorship to be able to print the kind of books they wanted, artistic books.
Okay.
You know, and it's in spots like that that people, a guy named Jack Kerouac wrote a book called On the Road. And On the Road was one of the most important counterculture culture books in America. And it was about traveling around to the underbelly of America, jazz clubs and poets and people who at the time were, when sexuality was so repressed, people didn't ever repress sexuality. When I was 17, I graduated from high school. And 2 days later, I had my thumb out on the highway and hitchhiked 1,000 miles to Boulder, Colorado, which was a very kind of counterculture, and lived on the streets and panhandled and drank and partied. And it was just an incredible experience. And I'm so glad. Yeah, dangerous hitchhike. It wasn't dangerous to hitchhike then. It was a more common way to get around. And you grew up in Oklahoma, and I grew up in Missouri, where sometimes as a young person, that's how you got from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Now you can tell your parents, can you drive me to a party? Drive you to a party? How about I drive your head through the damn wall? Walk, hitchhike, I don't care. I'm getting my drink on.
It's true.
So, and you know, what a lot of people have told me is that the experience they had during their times in this workshop has then fed into the things they do later on.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
I think that doing that stand-up thing and the sketch comedy and all that. I mean, now I mean, look, I've started a podcast. I'm not scared of so much.
It's not just a podcast. It is a video cast.
Oh, yeah, video.
I have a podcast.
Podcast.
But I'm doing it, you know, I used to have I had the office, and now I do it from my house. And you don't want to take any pictures of me when I'm doing my podcast. You know,
oh, gosh.
I'm wearing a bad hat. You know, my glasses are on crooked. My wife's scowling at me because she's my producer. You can't talk about that again. No, I don't blame her. No, she's wonderful. She helps me with that quite a bit.
Awesome.
Matter of fact, I wouldn't have a podcast without her.
Really?
Yeah, I told her I was on FM radio here for a while. I was really unhappy because it was like, hey, we're going to talk about the 10 funniest farts you've ever smelled, and then we're going to have a white snake marathon. I'm going, I can't do this shit. Not at 59, 60, 61, however old I was.
Well, that's not your voice. You want the content to be, you know.
Let's talk about Burt Reynolds' funniest car crash. I can't do this, man. This is not.
It's not you.
Yeah. How do you pick up girls? What's the appropriate level to get a girl drunk where it's not actually assault? We're going to talk about that right after we listen to Whitesnake. Again? It's a winger weekend. It's okay.
You probably have experience in that, though.
In what?
How far is not assault?
A long time. No, I always kind of knew what that was. I don't know what it. My dad, God rest his soul. It was my mom and dad, and then my two brothers and I. And I don't know what it was. I do this with my grandson now. And my dad, when I was young, there weren't a lot of girls around except for grown-up ladies, you know. And he'd go, you don't hit girls. You never hit girls. If a girl hits you, you don't hit her back.
You smile.
No, you don't smile. Leave, you know. Yeah, but that's a whole different deal. And you're paying for that. So that's not hitting. That's love.
Right.
So that was ingrained into me early on, and that, you know, you be nice to your mother, you know.
Well, yeah.
So we were. My dad early on, one of the good lessons was that. So I've always kind of known where that was.
How'd we get there?
I don't know. You just said I have experience with knowing what acceptable is.
Oh yeah. True.
Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit. You're living on the streets or whatever, panhandling.
For a short period of time. When I was a kid, I was like 17.
Oh, okay. At what age did you get into comedy, and why and how? And tell me all about it.
Oh, no, so you want to talk about acceptable levels of alcoholism. In 1985, I stopped drinking and doing drugs. And when I say stop drinking and doing drugs, I mean that I stopped doing the only things I had been doing for a number of years.
Consistently
on a daily basis. I'd always been, I came up at that time when there were goofy little sayings like, with dope, there's hope. With booze, you lose.
Oh, jeez.
You had prominent members of the culture telling you that taking drugs was good. And it felt good. When you're living in a small town where there's a lot of violence, because our small town was written up in Newsweek magazine for the level of violence at one point, and there's a lot of dysfunction in your family, and you look on a magazine cover, and there's a Harvard professor going, LSD makes me happy. You're going, maybe these guys know something. So I was a druggie from early on, extremely early on, and a drinker, and drinking was my one true love. And then I quit at 20. I moved to LA to be an actor, and all I was just a drunk in a different zip code. So when I quit, there were some people, influential in my life. A woman named Claudia Linnell, who was on a TV show called Knots Landing as a child actor. And also her father was, I didn't know this when I met her, was co-owner of the Melrose Improv, Mark Linnell. And she said to me one time, she goes, you're kind of funny. You should try stand-up. And I said, really? I don't even know. She goes, my dad, and I knew the Melrose Improv was a very popular place, not just for comedy, but for a restaurant and a bar. It was a great party place in those days. So I went down there and did their open mic night. And she goes, I know a guy who's going to can help you. And she introduced me to a comic named Ritch Shydner. And Ritch started helping. He goes, yeah, you got something here. So it worked, because within 3 months I had my first paid job, which was here in Phoenix. First open mic night, December of '85, Laugh Factory on the Sunset Strip. First paid gig here, somewhere in this neighborhood, within a 5-mile radius here, is a place called Finny Bones. It was on Camelback. It was behind a disco. That's how long ago this is now. It was a disco. Would you like to go to the disco? Hey, who wants to go to the disco? It didn't. Nothing sounds right in his voice. How you doing?
I
know. And that's where my voice is headed, by the way, if you can tell. It's headed towards that.
How? Why?
Because it's more cracked and strained. Oh. I don't have an 8-octave range here. I get up in the morning, I'm like, I'm out of coffee. All right, coffee. Feed the dog. Go outside.
You sound grumpy.
I'm pretty damn grumpy now. So it worked for me. I got paid. And then there were so many clubs. It was during the height of the comedy boom in America, where there were clubs opening everywhere. And I came here a few times. Somehow I got hooked up on the East Coast. And even though I lived in Los Angeles, I spent the next 15 years, at least half my year, on the East Coast, on the Eastern Seaboard, or down south, in like coastal areas. I can never quite. It's because I went there, worked there. People went, "You're good here. Call this club," and I just got hooked up. So I was a LA comic. I lived in LA, but I was an East Coast comic.
Oh, that's
kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then I went to Oklahoma a couple times, which is not on the East Coast. A woman who's now there's a woman named Judy Brown Marmel who's pretty cool, and she's one of those cool stories. She started out as a waitress at a bar that did comedy on one night when she was very young, like a teenager. And she really became enamored of it. And then they needed someone to handle hiring the comics there. This is the story of her. And she did. And then she started going to other bars in the Rocky Mountains. This was in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. And she booked a little string of clubs throughout the Rocky Mountains. Grand Junction, Telluride. You were going to cool places. She is now one of the, I don't know if you call it the head of Levity Entertainment. And Levity Entertainment, they're now in business with Irving Azoff, who managed the Eagles and then ran, what's the Ticket Nation?
Oh, yeah.
Live Nation.
Live Nation.
So they are live. So they partner with Live Nation. They own major comedy clubs all over the country. She manages mega people.
Wow.
She booked me into my first club in Oklahoma. She calls me up and she goes, "Can you be in Oklahoma tonight?" It was like noon. And I go, I can't be there. I can be there tomorrow. And she goes, "They fired the headliner and they need somebody with an edge. And
you're the guy.
So far, no one else has answered the phone." So that's how I ended up in Oklahoma. So Judy started out as a waitress, and now she is she's one of the biggest names. It's not a name, but she produces television shows. She manages people. She's one of the most important people in entertainment. They own the Tempe Improv. They own Stand Up Live. They're going to own the new club in Desert Ridge, CB Live. So that's one of the cool things about America and entertainment, by the way, that people can come from pretty humble backgrounds and then be successful. I know for a fact that you came from kind of the same background I did, kind of working class, not quite southern, because Oklahoma, Missouri, they're not southern towns, but they're country. They're country.
Yeah,
And
you're
now,
right.
and now you have been. I don't know. Maybe you went broken last week, but you've been very successful in real estate.
Yeah.
Very successful. A girl from Oklahoma, a woman from Oklahoma. All right?
You can just say girl, it's fine.
This here little gal from down there, down there near Enid. She lived not in Enid, lived outside of it in a trailer in a shack. Is now doing as well as you do in real estate in Scottsdale.
Yeah, Phoenix, Scottsdale.
Yeah. So that's one.
Well, I think it's just like whatever you set your mind to. That's how I see it.
You've always been like that. When I met you, you had like a really nice high-end hair salon in Old Town where people went in and paid a lot of money for, you could get great clips. So
I know. I remember when I used to cut your hair and you'd just be like, I can't imagine paying you this money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do it and shut up. You're fine.
But plus, right now, I look like I've been electrocuted a little bit. So that's... So that's the
style. It was a style back then. It's not anymore.
It was you and a couple other also very attractive women. So it was like 3 attractive women. And well, cut your hair. You go, okay.
You got your money's worth.
And then after that, get out.
You're done.
Yeah, but you got an attractive woman, and she chops off half your hair and leaves it. And you go, that's the style. You go, okay, that's the style.
Okay, I'm wearing it.
I didn't know. I mean, this is.
Well, now look, your hair's all grown out.
Yeah.
You have a pony.
I got a little pony. Well, look, I'm 63. You got to hang on to something. I could just walk around in overalls and a baseball cap. Go, well, Mama, you go into Walmart. I'm gonna sit in the truck. Because that's where I come from. I come from
Walmart.
Okay, Walmart and sit in the truck. Where I grew up, guys that drive their, I got to take Mama to Price Chopper. And
That's
you
how I
going
grew
in?
up.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit in the truck, and they just sit in the truck. We didn't even play the radio. Just sit there, maybe smoke. Just let it look on her face like they've been hit in the head with a ball peen hammer. I ain't going in there with all them women their carts and their ham. And I told her I don't care what the doctor says. I want bacon.
I grew up eating a lot of bacon.
I still eat bacon every day.
I like bacon.
Bacon proves that there's a higher power in this universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a heart checkup because I'm kind of a hypochondriac.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a kind of a passive hypochondriac. Every day I wake up and I think that I have
something's wrong.
Incurable disease, but I don't do anything about it. I just go, I'm going to die of this.
You got to be careful what you say to yourself.
Listen, if that was absolutely true, I'd have been gone at like 10. So
anyway, you had your heart check out.
Then I got obsessed. I go, I bet you I have a destroyed heart. And I went and had this whole heart checkup, and they said, there's nothing wrong with your heart. And I went, how can that be?
Like,
I've eaten bacon every day my entire life.
I've abused myself.
Not too long ago, I decided I had lung cancer.
Oh, God.
I just went, you know what?
But you stopped smoking
a
long time
you hear
ago.
those stories. He stopped smoking when he was 20.
I remember you said, eat that gum all the time. I'm like, Tony,
You know what I have in my
how
mouth?
much gum can you eat?
I got
in
off
one
the gum. I use a nicotine lozenge. It's not as messy.
Messy?
What a gum, you take it out and
You got to do something with it.
And it's sticky, but I decided I had lung cancer. And I told my wife, I go, I have lung cancer. She goes, oh my God. I go, well, that's what I think. So I went and had a total checkup and like nothing, which then really depressed me because that means I'm just out of shape.
Well, here's the bigger message is like that you still have something to do, right?
Well, yeah, later on today, I got to walk the dog.
I
think in those terms now. I don't try to go too, in your 60s, you don't go too far
slow
in the
down?
future. No, you just, you don't think 20 years from now, you go, No, let's roll it back. We'll go 10 years from now. Yeah. So now I get up and I go, what do I got to do? I got to remember to go downtown because my wonderful friend Candy has this really cool podcast and she's invited me to be on it. I got to do that. And then after that, I got to drive home. I know that. So yeah, I've got my future planned, but just a couple hours at a time.
What if, if someone wanted to start maybe looking to doing stand-up?
Yeah, just for any reason to have fun. Or we're finally gonna move into a more. We're gonna keep doing what we have been doing because we love it, but we're also gonna move into something else that we think we'll love, which is a more public speaking component for people who have no interest. We have business people who occasionally take our class because they want to learn about public speaking. I have no interest. They won't even do a show because they go, I'm not interested in doing a stand-up show. So we're making plans by early next year, the end of first quarter, to have a public speaking component where the class is solely for people in your profession, or CEOs or people that have to make speeches. There's a guy who was one of the on the ground floor of Constant Contact.
Oh.
Ron Cates, wonderful guy. And his job was to go around and do seminars in front of hundreds of people explaining how to maximize your email. Mm-hmm. And he took our class for quite some time, and he goes, look, I'm never going to go out and be a professional stand-up comic. I make too much money doing what I'm doing, and I'm happy. He goes, but this has helped me enormously with my presentation. So we're moving a little bit more into that. If anybody wants to check out what we do, there's a couple of ways, okay? I'll be out in the parking lot.
With your lozenge.
I'm going to have the back of the truck open. I'll just be sitting there. Come on by. Come on by. We'll talk about Elvis. Yeah, girls like Elvis. So you can go to my website, which I think websites are becoming a little bit passé now. But my website, comedyschools.com.
That's right.
Not comedyschool.com. That'll lead you to something perverse. Comedyschools.com.
Plural.
Yeah, plural. Or you can just, like me on Facebook, Tony Vicich, Vicich. What's that name? Tony Vicich. Vicich. I have an Instagram, but I don't know what the handle is. So
it's just your name.
It's just my name. Yeah, Tony Vicich on Instagram, and I got a Twitter. I have a LinkedIn, but I don't know how to get into it. So
LinkedIn, schminked-in.
LinkedIn, linked out, sausage link. I'm a link sausage. Are you on LinkedIn? I have link sausage. That's what I got. My sausage is linked.
Oh,
That's
God.
what happens when you get married.
You're making me blush.
Your sausage gets linked.
Oh, my gosh.
I get a donut after this, don't I? Do you have donuts?
Donuts.
I can't
I
eat
love
them.
donuts.
I got the high blood sugar.
Okay, wait, but let's talk about the donuts really quick.
All right, let's talk about donuts.
If you want to have
Donut talk.
Donut talk. Donut talk.
Do not talk or donut talk?
Donut.
Donut, all right.
If you want the most amazing donut.
I'm going to drink while you're talking.
Yeah, do that.
I said, this is like an act. She's going to talk and I'll be drinking, and yet she'll still keep talking. That is amazing.
Masterpiece Donuts. It's
Masterpiece Donuts.
I mean, I can't even tell you. Like, it's Indian school and, I don't know, 44th, let's just say. Somewhere along in there.
So like in the Biltmore district?
No, more like Arcadia.
Arcadia, okay.
Yeah, Biltmore's more like 24th.
Yes. Damn it, you're right.
Right. I know, that's what I keep telling every...
Damn it, I'm right.
Yeah. I'm kidding. No, they're fresh and hot. The dough drops into the grease and it fries it up right in front
There
of you.
used to be some businesses on Scottsdale Road where they advertised fresh and hot, but it wasn't donuts.
No, they microwaved them. That doesn't count. Yeah. And then they plunk them into the icing, and then they put all this fun stuff on top.
You get to watch them do it?
Yeah.
Oh, you get to watch the creation of the donut.
Yes, you get to design your own donut.
Design your donut. I'm going to go there and design my donut.
Oh, my God. I made Tony Vicich laugh.
Yeah.
Yes.
You made me laugh a lot. You're a funny person.
I didn't really ever think that. I mean, I was entertaining. I feel like I'm entertaining. I don't know if I'm funny. Is there a difference? I think there's a difference.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the thing that people don't understand about stand-up comedy, people will talk about that and they'll go, you know who's funny? And so there's some incredibly talented, successful stand-up comics who are not funny off stage, and it doesn't really transmit. They can't really act. They can't direct. They can't write long form. But on stage, they're stunningly good, because stand-up comedy is a way of delivering humor.
Yeah.
It's
the delivery.
It's a real specific way. It's usually a single individual talking for a long period of time. And that is sometimes, there's some of the funniest people I know are not stand-up comics, because that's not their way of delivering humor. It's like this. So if I was to pull out a pipe and light up a pipe right now and go, hold on, I'm going to have a cigarette. You look at me and go, that's not a cigarette. I go, no, this is a cigarette. You know, that's a pipe.
Yeah.
But both a pipe and a cigarette are
the
nothing
same thing.
more than delivery systems for nicotine.
Right.
That's what keeps you coming back.
Yeah.
So comedy is the same way. For some people, their delivery system for humor is stand-up comedy. For some people, it's sketch comedy. For some people, it's humorous writing. And then a lot of people, the funniest people are people like you who were good on stage, but in real life, you're just so alive and charismatic and fun to listen to and talk to and be around.
But I'm not like joke punchy all the time in like real life.
No. So,
Right.
So it's just woven into your personality. So, to say someone's not funny because they did stand up and they quit or something is just, that's utter.
Well, I don't mean it like that.
No, and I didn't, and I know you didn't mean it like that, but I mean, just generally, if anybody's listening, someone does stand up, people go, you're not funny, and they might be hilarious. It's just like, look, Michael Jordan was great at basketball,
Yeah.
and then he tried to play baseball, and he was horrible.
Right.
Okay? He was horrible because that wasn't the ball he needed to be playing with. And for some people, they're incredibly funny writers, and they do stand-up, and it doesn't really work because that isn't what they were supposed to be doing. They were supposed to be writing. The cool thing about stand-up is a lot of times you find out what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, yeah, because I think that was where I struggled the most. I wasn't really the comedic writer.
Yeah.
If you gave me the outline of the joke, I'll
Yeah.
deliver it. I'll figure out
Yeah.
where how to deliver it that's going to
Yeah.
get the laugh. But I could never really figure out the writing piece. That's why I was like, yeah, I don't think this is for me.
That's interesting that you say that because for better or worse, and we lose some voices because of this. Nowadays, supposedly, stand-up comedy is based on the person standing in front of us talking that they're delivering their thoughts.
Yeah, it's
But
not.
it wasn't like that. Say at the beginning of the 20th century, it was. At the beginning of the 20th century, there might be someone who was really funny on stage, but they didn't write. There were writers.
Yeah.
Writers wrote and performers performed, and they didn't really mix. Just like at one time there were, and there still are, but at one time there were strictly songwriters and strictly singers. Frank Sinatra never really wrote a song. Elvis Presley never really wrote a song.
And then the singer-songwriter emerged, that whole concept.
You know what it was? Is because things like television and radio and records was just eating stuff up. It's like this routine that you'd done for 20 years live, touring around the country. Now you did it one night on national television, and the next week people go, well, you're repeating yourself? So it kind of forced people to write. And also in the late 50s, early 60s, the idea of authenticity. Because we were really moving into a real commercial, disposable age where things were being mass-produced. Cars, of course, any product in your home. It wasn't the individual craftsman. So where the culture went is they were demanding that the artist be an individual craftsman. Even though they weren't. Well, the Rolling Stones seemed so original. They're just doing old blues songs.
Yeah.
They're doing, Willie Dixon and Howlin' Wolf and not B.B. King. But, the Beatles seemed so original, and they were doing Chuck Berry tunes. It was the way they delivered it. So you're right. In a way, it's that there's not just a writer and a performer, and the writer goes, for me, that's what it is. I would rather write for other people than
Well,
perform.
I can
now.
tell. Like when we sat down even like a year and a half ago, what do you want to talk about? I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, this, and this. This is my perspective.
Yeah.
Let's create the joke and then go from there. Oh, by the way, they're trying to talk me into doing another set soon. So
Do it.
it's so time consuming for me. Do it. It's consuming because I want it to be perfect, So it's like,
Did you hear it?
Yeah, no, look, nothing's ever perfect. We work towards perfect.
Yeah.
I'm always for people working towards perfect. People go, I can't do it unless it's perfect. I go, then you'll do nothing. Ever.
I know. I struggle with that in my life,
Yeah.
to be honest. It's
Yeah.
something I work on.
Yeah.
So yeah, we may get back together and collaborate.
There's the 3 Ps, which are what is it? It's
Well, I know the 3 Ps in real estate.
which are. Can you say these?
Put a sign in the ground, put it in the MLS, and pray someone buys it. That's what they say.
The 3 Ps in a lot of things in life are that's a good one though. Perfection, procrastination, paralysis. It's got to be perfect.
Perfect. So then you procrastinate.
Then you put off till it's going to be perfect, and then you
Then
don't
you're
do
just
anything.
Paralyzed.
I had a real estate license. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
I did in 1976.
Where were you?
I was outside of a little town called St. Louis, Missouri, home of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Is that how they talk there?
No, that's how.
Oh.
That's how Lee Strasberg talked when he was an old man. When I studied acting with him. When I was keep my head up from not having a hangover. I'm driving through the little town we lived in, House Springs, Missouri, and I see a sign, a little storefront that says Vicich and Son Realties. And I go, well, I better explore this. I hadn't talked to my dad in a while. And I go in, and my dad's in there. He goes, hey, I opened up this place. And you get a real estate license. We start a business. And
Look at that.
I went and got my real estate license. I had to go to Jefferson City and take a test. Had to stay overnight in a hotel. So
That's not unfamiliar for you.
yeah, right. That's the. But it's faded into the windshield. I'm really into this. Like I'm like a grandpa, you know. And Mary, I live out in Maricopa.
Yeah.
I'm on the board of directors of my homeowner association.
Oh Lord.
You know, I'm planning the big chili cook-off in a couple weeks in our main park. So I love this. I never had a normal life, you know. I was a real, and God bless them, real dysfunctional family, dysfunctional place, dysfunctional era, and I kind of bought into all of that because I thought that would be the cool thing to do. And now I'm just loving this. Putting on a stupid hat and walking my dog with the grandkids. And, all right, go ahead and climb up there and play. Be careful. Anyway, so I went and got a real estate license. My dad was afflicted with the same disease I had, although he never really quite got a handle on it. And he started, by the time I got it, he started to spiral out, unfortunately. I mean, he lived for it went okay for him later on, but this was a difficult time for him. I never sold a house. Because I used to drive around with a bottle of whiskey in the trunk, and I always had a bag of weed. Can I say that? I had a bag of weed. It's legal now.
I know, right?
Yeah. And I remember one time I had this couple in the house, and this is when I knew it was a cutout for it. We're standing in the house, and they go, well, this is the kitchen, but you can see that, can't you? And they both kind of look at me, and I go, so we'll buy this place or what? I'm going back to construction for a while.
Well, I joke around with people because I think that's what most people think that we do as agents. We just drive people around.
Asians?
As agents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, not Asians.
Yeah.
But we just
Why
drive.
not Asians?
Well, I'm not Asian.
You don't like Asians?
No, I love Asians. Asian thing, you got me all worked up.
An Asian agent.
Yeah, an Asian agent. But we don't. Yeah, it's like we don't just drive around and show amazing houses and go. Open the door. You want to buy this house? Perfect. Like it's just not.
Yeah, I didn't figure that part out because I wanted to get. I didn't want to. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's one of those things. People, well, it's just easy. You got to people know that's easy. It's like anything. Yeah, you put up a sign and you have some business cards and people go, I'd like to buy a house. And you take them in a house. They go, they'll buy it. That's the myth, and you know that.
A lie, yeah.
95% of the work is before you ever meet a client. Just being ready to meet clients, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I think it's a part of it. I wouldn't say it's 75%, but getting.
I said 95.
Oh, 95. I heard 75.
Yeah, it's what.
Roll back the tape.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like
it's
some
just
weird negotiations going on here. Said 95. I heard 70. I heard 75. That's
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's it's challenging, but it's rewarding. I like it.
Yeah. Well, you've done very well with it.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, and that's a cool thing to watch. It's kind of like knowing people even though generally people are in their 20s or 30s when I meet them, generally.
I was.
Yeah. It's kind of like being a high school teacher and then seeing the kids that
Yeah.
go on and see what they do with their lives. That's kind of what it's been like. And it's been, that's the best part.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
You know.
And knowing that you had a hand in it.
We've had people go all the way from their first show to national television. We've had people go all the way from their first show to prison. And out again and back again.
Who was your, who influenced you the most, Tony, do you think?
In what regard?
In whatever regard you want to talk about.
You know, there's a number of them. Oddly enough, I'm Facebook friends with a high school English teacher I had named Lon Simmons. And Lon was, where we went to school, some weird things happened with schools in the 70s. But we had all these Arkansas people going to teach in college in Arkansas were the primary people who were teaching at our school. And they were very staid and very serious, you know, and you don't visit with your neighbor. And I go, I'm not home. How can I visit with my neighbor? And they're talking about talking to the kid in the next desk.
Oh.
And we still got beaten in school. You got paddled.
Yeah, paddled.
So, and then Lon Simmons shows up. And Lon's wearing like loud shirts. And he doesn't have long hair, but it's kind of combed more in a style. And he's running these classes where he's engaging us.
Yeah.
And one time he came up and he goes, Vicich. And I go out, he goes, I'm the head of the theater department. I went, good for you, Lon. He goes, and he was young. He was late 20s, early 30s. I don't know how old he was then. He goes, you're going to try out for this play. I go, no, I'm not. He goes, well, then you're flunking English, fucker. So, you know, and when your English teacher says it that way, you go, this is a cool dude. So he really got me involved in theater. And he was one, there was a few of them in high school. Him, a woman named Peggy Cochran, who started running their classes in a different way. You know, instead of you sit at the desk and memorize and then there'll be a test.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, but nothing against those teachers either that did that. They thought but those people were a profound influence on me. Yeah. And even during my darker times, because, you know, I went through times where I went through some odd times, you know, where you've pretty much given up or you've pretty much put yourself in a place where those things can't happen because you're a criminal. So they kind of hung through. I remember my parents were the good parts of my parents. They're both gone now, unfortunately. You know, God rest their soul. And they were young when they had me. My mom was 16. My dad was 17, and they were wild. They were not terribly wild, but wild people. You know, they were full of life. You know, and the good things now as I get older, the good things that they shared with me are what stay with me. I'm perfectly aware of any of the problems. You hear people go, "Had my father hit me," whatever. It's not like I discount those. There's no denial. So, right. But what I'm remembering are the good things. You know, what I remember is the positive things for some reason. So they're an influence. Wow.
What about later in your life?
Later in my life, Ritch Shydner was the guy who kind of took me under his wing as a stand-up comic and was not only an influence and a mentor, but has remained a lifelong friend. Yeah. A lifelong friend, and our relationship has evolved in a lot of different ways. I managed him for a while later on. Oh, you fun. Know, we've been to. I missed his last wedding, but we usually make each other's weddings on a pretty regular basis. I missed his last wedding. He was going to get married recently. He did get married. He's getting married. He called me up and goes, "Would I be part of the wedding?" And I go, and he was part of my wedding when I married Shirley. And I go, "Yeah, I'll do it." And then he calls me up and goes, "Wedding's off." I go, "What'd you do?" He goes, "I didn't do it." He goes, "Her daughter can't get over here from Ireland." Rana is the woman's name. So I go, "Okay." So in the interim, I take the grandkids to Los Angeles to go to Universal Studios. Kind of weird. I lived in the neighborhood. Never went to Universal Studios. And to the beach. And I used to have a place on the beach for a while. Yeah. So now I'm paying for parking at the beach. But I had a marvelous time.
It's wonderful out there.
I'm with a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, my wife and one of her daughters, Amy. And it went off without a hitch. But you are working at the speed of, it was for the 6-year-old and 8-year-old. That's what the trip was for. So you're working at their speed.
Fast, right?
Yeah. And you can't be one of those people who, well, you know, and here's just one peanut right now, or yelling at them. You can't be that person.
No.
You know that.
They're just a kid. Yeah.
You're on a camping trip with your parents, and they're screaming at you.
You're like, oh, isn't this supposed to be fun?
It's supposed to be fun, yeah. So I get home, and I'm like dead. And we drove there, stayed at my brother's house, drove back. This is a 4-day period. Drive out on a Wednesday, Thursday, Universal Studios, Friday, Malibu, Saturday, drive back. Saturday night, and then I get a call from Ritch going, hey, just remind me about the wedding. And I go, what? And he goes, getting married Monday. I go, there's no way I can be there. I go, you know what? He goes, oh, I get it. He goes, it's just a backyard ceremony, Tone. It's okay. And I said, Ritch, I'll be at the next one. So Ritch is a big influence.
That's awesome.
Sometimes the people who you work with as students then become inspirational to you as you witness what they go through, and then they reach a certain level or plateau where they can tell you something about you. And I've had that experience a couple different times.
I like that.
Yeah. So, the whole idea of teaching is they go, well, how far did you go? I go, it doesn't matter how far I went. What matters how far you can go. And we certainly hope. Lee Strasberg said important things. I remember him saying one time, he goes, we hope that all of our students go further than we have.
That's the point.
It's like if you're a third grade teacher, you don't want your people just reach a plateau at third grade and then walk around the rest of the time, drooling in a bucket.
Drooling in a bucket.
Bucket drooling.
Bucket.
I don't know.
I like that word.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm leaving a lot of people out. So there were books that influenced me and media people that influenced me. But personally, and my wife, Shirley, who, how do I put this? I met her during the recession, the last recession. And the recession rocked me like a hurricane. And I met her then, So, and she was doing well. She was, she ran a clothing department at a big department store. And through her, I've now got a home, and she's brought so many wonderful things in my life. And you want to be, when you meet those people in life, just like you want you bring an apple to the teacher so the teacher will be pleased. You want to please those people by trying to be a better person. So she's been a big influence in my life.
So you would say she's made you a better person?
Without a, you know what? Without any silly stuff, without a doubt.
Don't be silly.
Yeah, without a doubt, she is definitely maybe. It's kind of like whoever I was supposed to be. There's somebody you were supposed to be, and some people get to be who they're supposed to be. For a lot of people, because of violence or emotional trauma or a time or an era or whatever, they get sidetracked from who they were supposed to be, And most people never get back on track. And you meet them, and you know who I'm talking about. But then something happens, some light comes on. Yeah, AA is a big influence in my life because I don't. Yeah. But then this is the person who then allows you to be who you're supposed to be. And what I am now is what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be a father. I'm supposed to be a grandpa. I'm supposed to be running the classic car show and chili cook-off out in our community. I'm supposed to know the mayor in my town.
Well, you're supposed to be an influencer. Like
that's I'm supposed to be an influencer, but I'm not supposed to be, rock and roll, man. I'm not supposed to be like in the Hollywood Hills going, you tell Kim Kardashian I'm going to be late. It's not what I'm supposed to be, but that's what everybody thinks they want. Everybody thinks they want that. Everybody thinks they want, to live in the hills, and everything looks better on TV.
Oh my gosh.
Even anything, people see people on TV and they go, they must be happy. That's what happens to our brains. In this
it's
society.
The same thing with social media, I think.
Yeah.
Life isn't always perfect, but we only post those amazing moments, make it
life
look
isn't
like
perfect
it's
at all.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's just really how you react and how you handle it, right?
Yeah. I use social media now. I started writing political jokes I've always had
You've
political
always
jokes.
had political jokes.
Yeah, but I didn't really do those a lot. That wasn't a big part of what I do. But I got involved with a wonderful group of writers in Los Angeles who primarily choose to remain anonymous so that they so that they're not attacked, or people that they write for aren't attacked, but people who are big in the industry, and they're wonderful people. And we started putting out something to send out to politicians every week, and that's really honed my skill there. But like if you go to my Facebook page now, you'll see a goofy joke, you'll see a political joke. I'm obviously on one side of the aisle, and now is not the time to say you're not, And then you'll see, I'm like amateur photographer now. So it's really an extension of that. I don't put up, I'm feeling so lonely and blue. That's what I have a family for. It's like when I do stand-up, I don't go up there and go, I can't do the show tonight because, people want to be entertained. So I kind of use my pages to entertain people too. Not to be dishonest, but to put the entertainment
piece forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I guess, same thing for me.
Yeah.
But life isn't perfect. Sometimes it's... But I think that... Well, is that how you use comedy, really? Oh, I guess, yeah. Right?
Yeah, I don't know anymore how it's like it's just like a part of me. It's part of the way I communicate. So it's almost like your accent, or your idiom, where I came from I came from the part where they call it Missouri, but I years ago started saying Missouri. People flatten their A's, like Kathy is Kathy, Mom is Ma'am. So that's as much a part of you, and how you then, if you're going to be someone who tries to mediate things, calm down, we're going to figure out what's wrong. Or if you're a panicky person, oh my God, that's you. And for some reason, whatever that reason is, using humor to function is part of me as much as any of that, And then I honed that craft of then going, this idea made me feel better. This idea helped me deal with this. Now, how do I take that? That's always the big bugaboo in anything in the entire human condition. How do I share with you this idea that I know is a good idea? Whether it's someone that you want to marry, how do I convince them that this will be good, or that you should move, or that there's a melody in your head and you think this would make a good song, but you don't know how to play an instrument. It's learning how to communicate that idea in an effective way. So I'll think of something funny and I go, now how do I put this in a way where 100, 1,000, 10,000 other people think it's funny? It's just part of who you are after a while.
Oh, we know it's how you are.
See how you are?
See how you are, Tony?
See, wherever you go.
Have you heard that before?
There you are. Oh, I've heard that. That's just you, isn't it? That's just how you are. Get out! Get out! Where are you going? Get back here! Get out!
You better not leave.
You better not leave. Where are you going?
Oh my God. I'll be back. Never.
Yeah. So what else?
That's it. I just wanted people to kind of hear your story and
I'm
I just
not telling that.
I know, right? And I just wanted people to know that just take action. Like what, don't let your fears, don't let the story stop you. If you wanted to be this, and just go do it. Even if you don't, I guess even if the past doesn't really lead you, right? Like I didn't become, this dramatic actress in Hollywood that I thought like I wanted to be, but it doesn't matter because now, through that experience of me doing stand-up with you and sketch comedy, like it honed a lot of skills that I didn't even know that I would need in life. It's helped me become who I am now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the message that I really wanted to share with people through you. Did it happen?
We'll find out. I think we did. Regardless, I just really enjoyed this time. There's one other person I want to talk about. It was a big influence. Is my daughter, Alicia, who's and Alicia, and she's doing great. And she's become one of those people. She's like those people that climb up sheer rock walls, where they're like climbing up like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that's like one of her hobbies now.
Oh, interesting.
And she does all these incredible extreme backpacking things, and she's a teacher. And
is she kind of artsy?
Not as. No, she is, but that's not where her passion lies. It's like with stand-up and stuff. She goes, I was around it so much, and I saw how it worked. And she goes, so I wasn't interested in doing all the things you have to do to get there.
Yeah.
But she is art. When she was a little kid, and she would come out and watch shows and stuff. She's a kid, and she could break it down. She'd go, here's why that sketch is funny. When that person did this and that person did that, that's where the laughs are. But you see that person over there cussing? That is actually taken away from the sketch. She was
I remember.
A little girl, like 5 or 6, and I'd take her with me to Vegas, and I used to work a club that was like a theater, so she could be over right behind the curtain there, and she'd be over there coloring, and I'd be talking to all these Vegas people. Hey, what about Vegas, huh? And I'd be looking over, and she'd be coloring and smiling.
Oh my gosh.
She's another one who... she came to me a unique way. And she's another one where you're going, I got to be a right guy. There was a guy who was kind of a rough guy, who was a friend of mine, was at the house when she was an infant. And I go, hey, you want to see the kid? And he goes, yeah, let's see the kid. I go, what do you think? I go, there was no kid. Now there's a kid. He goes, yeah, man, that's weird, huh? Because that's kind of how it happened with Alicia. She was 5 months old when we got her.
Oh.
And it was kind of like, here, bye. I was like, whoa. And he goes, dude. What? He goes, your daughter, always remember this, your daughter will marry a man modeled after you.
Oh, gosh.
And then you go, okay, then I got to work towards being...
Better.
not a creep.
Not a creep. One's a creep, always a creep, Tony.
Yeah, you can float in and out of creep.
Different levels.
Yeah, you can be like young Scottsdale Old Town creep and then become a good guy and and then go through a divorce and go back into creep mode for a while. And
now you're the Maricopa creep on the
but I was never an Old Town guy. But by the time I hit Old Town, I was already too old for Old Town. I was like 45 when I hit this town.
Oh my gosh! When I go back over there, I'm like, I'm too old.
I can tell you what, if you can legally get into those bars, you're too old. Those bars are designed for the fake ID crowd.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, age, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it gets better, I think. In most regards.
If you let it.
Life.
If you let some people fight it, and they fight it in I'm not talking about, taking care of yourself and a good outlook. Some people fight it. Some people are so dislike the finiteness of everything that they spend their lives fighting it in a way that you can't win, and it kind of makes them miserable. You know?
Can't be like that.
That's what it is. Somebody asked me, was Shirley and I are within the same age range, and
Was that a first?
No, but pretty much the first from the time I was 15. No, it wasn't. So that's the silliness. I've seen a lot of my buddies now that are in their late 50s, early 60s, and they've got that panicky one more bite at the youth apple thing going. And I go, this is my girlfriend. I'm going, dude, she's 22. And I go, I get it.
Kinda.
But you're going to marry a 22-year-old? You're not a millionaire, So I wrote a joke. I go, I says, look, guys, I go, if there's any girl who's like 16 to 18 and in your 30s or 40s and she's attracted to you, there's something wrong with her. So something, eventually she's going to talk about you on a Wednesday morning in a church basement to a group.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. So it's like I said, Shirley and I, we're on the same wavelength. We're just culturally, psychologically, emotionally. I wrote a joke. I go, my criteria for what I look for in a woman changed when I got older. Instead of going, will this woman be good in bed? Will this woman help me get out of bed?
It's true.
I was just looking for somebody who wouldn't be freaked out by my morning noises.
I'm freaked out.
Yeah, you're dating a 25-year-old and you're in your 50s. In the morning, she's up, cowering in the corner. She goes, I thought someone was attacking, because you end up going, what's happening?
The things I have to look forward to.
Yeah, well.
It's around the corner.
Yeah, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's my main motto in life. Like, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it, Tony.
Yeah.
It's not an option. It will be fun.
Tying your shoes?
Yeah, make it fun.
You make tying shoes fun? You do a double bow?
Yeah. Double bow. And a little dance after.
A little dance. I tied my own shoes. Yay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. It's been fun.
Yes, it has been.
It's been fun talking to you.
Yeah, it's been very fun talking to you. I so appreciate you asking me here. And actually, what people don't know is that she was very gracious, because I was supposed to do this a few days ago, and I just forgot. So somehow it didn't get. It was one of those things where I go, okay, and we hang up, and I go to put it in the calendar, and then, I don't know, the dog came in, or one of the grandkids showed me a picture, and I'll blame it on dogs and kids. Yeah. Wasn't my fault.
The dog ate my homework.
Yeah, and it didn't go in the calendar when you called, and I knew I was doing it, and then when you called, I went, oh, is that today? Jeez. So I apologize for that, and thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it so much.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah. I take my apology back.
Yeah, take it back.
I take back every nice thing I've said.
Everything. Everything always works out the way it's supposed to, Tony. So
It does.
That's why
It does.
I don't get
And that's
all
a
fussy.
frightening thought.
Is it or not? I like it.
You know what my daughter's favorite saying was from when she was a kid?
What?
Like she'd be goofy, being goofy, walking through the house, and she'd run to the door or something. I go, "That's what you get for having a good time."
What are you saying? There's punishment for
Yeah, I don't have.
for good
Somebody's
times.
like my old Irish great grandmother. That's what you get for having a good time.
Ah,
That's what you get for having a good time.
that's it.
That's it.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning into the Kandis Show today. I hope this episode left you inspired to become exactly who you're meant to be in this world. If you found value, please don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who you think would be inspired as well.